Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining this very first session that I'm hosting in English through the Hiring Revolution. My name is Isca Gonzalez. I am a talent acquisition consultant working internationally since more than 15 years ago. And I'm recently joining the LinkedIn content creator program in Spanish. That's why I'm very excited to start a session in English, and I really appreciate all the people that is joining today. As some of you might know, all the content that I share here is always about talent acquisition, and I would say like something that I like to share always is that talent acquisition is a team effort. Of course, it's like the recruiters, talent acquisition itself is a big part of it, but there's so many people involved in a recruitment process that is definitely a team effort. And today, I would like to start this session with a very interesting topic that I had to work in the last year and the beginning of this year, which was the Polish market, recruiting in Poland. By the way, I think I didn't mention it, but I'm originally from Mexico City. I'm currently living in the United States, in Cleveland, Ohio, and I have a lot of experience working with Latin America. So it's very interesting to compare markets and how similar things are. I think globally, of course, talent acquisition is very challenging nowadays. So I'm very, very happy to have a guest today that is going to help us understand how the market in Poland for talent acquisition works. So I'm going to welcome Mateusz Otkala. Hi, Mateusz.
Hello, good
How,
morning, Ska.
how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. 4 p.m. in Poland, 10 a.m. in Cleveland, Ohio. I really appreciate your time, Mateusz. He's always supporting as well the type of content that I share, mainly in Spanish. And I
I don't
appreciate.
speak Polish. I don't
I
speak
know,
Spanish
but
somehow.
thanks to LinkedIn, you just can click translate, and then you can see what I'm talking about, which mainly, of course, in the posts. But I think it's nice and important to have this type of conversations, right? Something open. People can, when we're talking about not just talent acquisition, but in general, work related and professional networks like LinkedIn, it's really nice to have this opportunity to have access to international content. So please let us know, of course, the people that is joining, where are you based? I can see here Federico, saludos. This is going to be like an international, this is like work nowadays. This is an international environment. Eleuterio from Curacao, thank you so much for joining. And before we start talking about recruiting in Poland, Mateusz, it would be really nice if you can help me to introduce yourself. Let us know what do you do. Like you're working, of course, with Arche Consulting. That is a company I had the opportunity to work with as well. So please go ahead and help me introducing yourself.
Thank you, Iska. So first of all, thank you for inviting me in for this interview because I didn't even thought that I might be invited in. So thank you for that. So I am in Poland. I am based in Wrocław. It's I would say 100 kilometers from Czech Republic and pretty the same to a German border. And this is not capital, to the capital of Poland, which is Warsaw, is approximately 350 kilometers. So I am working at Arche Consulting. Arche is Polish recruitment agency, and we are providing the service mainly for three industries. First of all, manufacturing supply chain. Second of all, SSC, BPO. And the last part is retail. And if I consider all those three industries, I am also always recruit for white collars position. White collars mean specialists, team leaders, managers, director. So all permanent placement basis recruitment service. And I do provide the service all over the Europe. However, we are Polish organization, so mostly we are focused on Polish market, and the probably highest number of the customer I usually work with is here in Poland. However, we usually extend our service because Poland market became more let's say, popular. And sometimes HR manager take more responsibilities, and they are in charge of some the region, which, for example, Poland and other country contains of. So basically, they ask us to do some recruitment service for them. So this is the reason usually we extend our recruitment duties to Germany, Slovakia, Czech Republic, France, Spain, and so on.
Good, good. Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I think something I forgot to mention as well, if you can see, I'm sharing some of the comments from the audience that is joining. Thank you, people from Peru, Colombia. Crystal, so nice to see you here. Thank you so much. Now we have like, yeah, more people from Colombia. And the thing is, something that I wanted to share as well with these type of sessions is like, you and I both are not like English native speakers, right? Like
Yes, definitely.
we have to learn English as a second language. And I think sometimes people think it is of definitely learning something is hard. But look, the amazing opportunities that we have when we can speak in a different language is, don't be afraid, my friends. We can always make mistakes. The important thing is to be able to communicate. So I think it's also one of the things I wanted to share.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, but it's pretty tough to be on the screen of someone else. So this is the first point, because it's my first time I am on someone's screen. I probably was on someone's screens when I got some teams with my customer or colleagues, but it was only the case. I used to be on someone's screens. Now I am on the live, so like stressed.
It's quite scary. We're sweating, but we're very happy here.
But don't worry, I'm gonna run away. I'm not gonna run away. Not now.
So I think something interesting that we were talking when we were preparing for this session. I was talking with Mateusz, and since we met last year, at some point we were comparing. Because of the experience I had with Latin America, then I started to work with the European market. There's a lot of similarities between Poland and Latin America, specifically markets such as Mexico or Brazil, that are receiving a lot of companies that are interested in hiding there, creating, for example, a shared service center, looking for engineers, technology, but different areas, of course, as the one Mateusz shared. But I would like you to help us to understand now why Poland is becoming such a very attractive country. Like, there's so many companies that are coming that at some point, when we were working together, it was like, where are we going to find recruiters? Where are we going to find the engineers? Because of course, depending on the company, since they have an international vision, they might need also English speakers there. And like any other country, sometimes it's hard to find. So what's your input here? Like, why is it Poland becoming such an attractive market for talent?
So basically, from my perspective, and I am working, as I mentioned before, at recruitment agency, I would consider a few facts. First of all, if you would like to invest your money here in Europe, we are definitely low-cost country. There are a few low-cost countries around us, and we can, let's say, put on the table Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and so on, but mostly they are those on the table. And to compare Poland to other countries, we are probably the biggest. We are the biggest. The population of Poland is, for the time being, approximately 38 millions. On top of that, there are around 3 million Ukrainians who came here because of the war. So there's another fact. For sure, there are lots of organizations around in Poland, and we got, let's say, availabilities of engineers, of specialists, of, in general, talents. So as lots of organization or competitor comes here, you can recruit talent, you can try to attract talent because you got pool of candidates can be attracted. So this is another crucial fact, because we are enough experienced, we got enough knowledge, we know lots of processes, and we know how to deal with difficult situations. Let's say we got know-how. So I would consider all those facts and put all those facts on the table as a main facts: low-cost country, availability of talents, and the population. Because, for example, Czech Republic got approximately 10 millions. Slovakia got approximately 5 millions. Romania is approximately 20 millions population. So to compare to those countries, we are the biggest, and probably it really matters. And from my perspective, if you got more people to recruit from, the recruitment process may go smoother.
Of course. Yeah, and I think I've been sharing this type of sessions also, as I was telling you, in Spanish, and sometimes we're talking about, if you see here, friends, see, we have people even from Dubai. Finally, Khaled, you have some content in English. Thank you for being here. So I think it's important to mention this, like, we are recruiting for businesses. We are trying to identify talent for companies that are looking to grow internationally. And this is when it comes, I will say so far, the main challenge when it comes to processes. Something important as well, and I'm so happy to see a lot of people here from different countries, is that talent also wants to move. Some people, and these, some of the questions that I'm sharing here with you are questions that also people started asking when they knew we were going to have this session. So I think something that I always share is, like, guys, in recruiting, in talent acquisition, besides that, we are, most of the times we have exactly the same process, we are also facing the same challenges. But I think I would like you to help us understand, like, in terms of recruiting itself, how's the market in Poland? Is there, like, a specific requirement when you're talking about working in Poland? For example, is there really a need to speak several languages, or only Polish and English is enough? And how is the recruiting process? Like, typically, how many steps, or mainly, please, friends, we have to remember, Mateusz is working for an agency. So we are talking about, in some cases, external recruiting, because they are helping us headhunters. But in some cases, and that's something that I really like about Arche, they have different types of solutions. So they can also provide, like, an in-house recruiter, temporary services, RPO, so they know the entire recruitment process outside and inside. So I think it will be nice if you can help us to understand, mainly for the people who would like to move to Poland, what do you need to work there, and how typically is a recruiting process there?
From my perspective, we are more global. So I would say that recruitment service or recruitment as a process is pretty the same everywhere, and depends on the organization you would like to recruit for. So for the corporation, let's say that recruitment is kind of standard, because when they set recruitment process everywhere in the world is pretty the same. You can skip some stages, but still you got some setup process and you need to follow. Let's move on. If you got a private company, you set up by yourself the process, how the recruitment process would like. So it's up to it's up to you how the process would like. In Poland, I would compare recruitment process to any other European country, and probably from your experience, we used to be in charge of Polish recruitment area. So basically, to compare to USA, to compare to the Mexico, I would say it's pretty the same.
Yeah. And it's basically like, because here we might have some people that is working in human resources, some recruiters, or even candidates that are interested in this market as well, or just curious on how it works. As I was sharing, it's a global process, which means, like,
Yeah.
you start like understanding the profile when there's a need in the company. Once you have that kickoff session or that intake session, when the recruiter understands what are the I would say non-negotiable and maybe negotiable requirements for the role, then you post the position, or it depends, of course, it can be confidential or not. Please remember that the talent acquisition and recruitment process, just as Mateusz said,
Unfortunately, there is no extra stuff that
Yeah,
really can appear in Poland only. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
are quite normal, I would
Yeah,
say.
it's not like, and I think that's important because sometimes people is kind of afraid, like, how is it going to be there? Or some people say, like, you know what, if it's Europe, it has to be like a very, very specific standard process that it's completely different. And no, it's like intake session, understanding the profile, posting, looking for candidates, interviewing, making an offer, start
Obviously,
date.
it depends on the position you are gonna recruit for. So the higher position is, there are more stages you may expect. So basically, if you, let's say, try to attract some specialist, you can stick to one or maybe two steps. But if you got some directors, manager of even higher, probably you may expect a bit more stages. But it's pretty normal, and it happens probably everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, because it depends on the scope, the responsibility the position is going to have,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's important. And then Mateos, we're starting to have questions. So we'll see. If for some reason, friends, we don't have the answer, we will find it and we'll let you know. But here we have a question from Luis Alberto Macias. He's saying how difficult it is to immigrate to Poland for work. And I think so far, I think we have a few things to consider. That of course you mentioned it briefly, but even the political and the social situation that has that area right now. Poland has been one of the countries that is receiving a lot of refugees from
That's
Ukraine.
correct. Yeah.
So it's like definitely we're facing challenging times. But I don't know if at some point in your experience have you interact with people that it's immigrating to work in Poland?
Yeah, definitely. And we got some, as you mentioned, lots of Ukrainian people here in Poland. Before our session, I had a look, and we got approximately more than 3 millions Ukrainian people for the time being in Poland. So some perspective is good, but it's some perspective very difficult to handle because they came at the same time. So it was like kind of difficult time. But I do believe that the worst time for them was, so basically I do not complain, absolutely. For any people who are out of EU, they have to apply for the visa, or the company they gonna work has to apply for the visa for them. So there's a process, and it's usually set by registration, Polish registration. So you need to follow up all these rules. But for sure, lots of organizations who are in need of the talents, they do kind of activities, and they are happy to welcome some people from out of EU, and they provide kind of, let's say, services.
And typically, I think one of the questions some people have sometimes is the languages. Like, is it enough to speak only English, or do I really need to speak Polish to find more
It depends on the
opportunities?
organization, Iska. Truly, it depends on the organization, because if you consider some, let's say, massive corporation, and the position will not react with many Polish people, many workers. So probably there is not a big deal to speak only English. If you have to deal with Polish workers, probably you have to speak in Polish, because there is no way to communicate with no Polish skills. It depends on the position, depends on the level of position, and depends on the organization. Because, for example, if you got private company, the idea of owners, how to deal with recruitment process, how to deal with requirements, may be that English is mandatory, but sometimes it's not. For the shared services, for sure, in Polish is not require many time, because probably German, French, and other European languages are more important rather than Polish.
Thank you. And I think so far you're also answering another question we have. For some reason here doesn't show the name. Adolfo Corona from Mexico was asking what is the most required skill by European companies that are hiring foreign staff. And I think sometimes it tends to be kind of frustrating when you receive the answer, it depends, but
For the
really it
position.
depends. depends on the position, it depends on the industry. And I can tell you here, because of course I had the opportunity to work with Mateusz and his team specifically for Poland, but with the team that I was leading, we were working with Germany, France, like Spain for sure. And it depends. It's similar. I would say in that case, for example, in the United States, sometimes you have more opportunities to attract foreign talent when we are talking about engineering, IT. Like very specialized positions sometimes are the main, let's say, skills that the companies are going to look for. But you just heard from Mateusz, these are the type of common skills. It might depend on the position, it might depend on the company, the industry, but definitely it's like, of course, you have to do your homework, check all the requirements to get a working visa. And don't forget, of course, we have like now a lot of people who's working remotely, that they can have opportunities and, let's say, visit the country while they can have a remote work that hasn't anything to do with the market itself locally. So that's another opportunity. If you want to go and visit Poland, seems like a beautiful country. It's definitely in my list.
Yeah, there is a beautiful country for sure.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to go. And then I think we briefly mentioned it, Mateusz, but I think something, again, like if you see, dear friends, this is like a global situation. Talent acquisition is global. Talent acquisition is a team effort. In terms of recruiting, there's so many things that you have to consider. And definitely since the pandemic and all these changes in economy globally are also representing challenges for talent attraction. But of course, it might vary again in terms of country. So, in this case, what are the challenges that you see in the Polish market in terms of attracting and retaining the talent? Because, of course, when we're working as talent acquisition, a lot of people think it's like, well, we're just filling roles, right? But we also understand how the market is moving, because if our clients, either internal or external clients, are looking for a lot of replacements, they are growing. So talent attraction and talent retention, I think, or talent management go together as well. What are the challenges that you see, Mateusz, in the Polish market here?
So to make it simple, talent attraction is all about delivery, but let's put it in a different way, because how to attract the talents, I would say that the crucial fact is that we need to find a way through, and we need to consider what is affordable on the market and what kind of expectation you have. And we have to find the link between HR, recruitment, finance, hiring manager points of view, because if you are on the same track, on the same way, it's easy to find the way through. For example, if you got some expectation, it's nothing wrong to have a very high expectation. It's good that you got some very high expectation and you expect quite a lot from the potential candidates. But if market says that your offer can be, let's say, if you put offer on the table, there are some advantages, disadvantages regarding those offer, and you need to be aware of that, and you need to accept that and be able to talk about these advantages and disadvantages and convince someone that this offer is good for you because. And the main point is that if your expectations are too high and do not correspond with the market, there is no way to find a way through. There is no way to recruit people. If you try to see different perspective and find a way how to solve the problem out, if you, let's say, feel in position is the problem, you need to sort this out. So you need to calculate what your strength is, what you can, let's say, skip, or some extra training provide for the potential candidates, and what kind of salary you should offer. If you are aligned on the same way, that's good, because we can find a way through.
Yes,
So I would say I very love your sentence that talent acquisition is a team effort, because definitely there is a team effort and we need to match our expectation, because if we are not on the same page, there is no way to recruit someone. It's all about delivery, but you have to deliver the good quality, but you set the quality that you consider to be a good.
Yeah, and thank you so much for this, Mateusz, because it's something that sometimes I've seen a lot of times on LinkedIn conversations, no matter the country. There's a lot of candidates mainly that are saying it's so hard. Like when we see the job ads, it's so complicated. They want everything. They don't share the salaries. Like it's a, in a way, unfortunately, I would say it's the same, but the reason why I'm here, the reason why I invite people like Mateusz to join these conversations is because I think it's possible. We both have worked with managers that are very flexible, that understand that the more specific you are in terms of the non-negotiable skills, requirements that you have for a role, that if you understand that the market is going higher, well, maybe there's a chance that you can train someone. Or in case you're sure that you really, really need those skills and that experience, then maybe you have to do something in terms of the salary, right? So it's not like black and white. Talent acquisition has to do a lot with
Yeah.
colors in between, grays, because you have to work as a team. And I'm glad that you also agree with me in that sense. And we have more, so a few more comments here that I would like to share, because of course, as usual, time is flying. So here we have a comment from Juan M. Which careers are most required in Poland? From what you've seen, Mateusz, in terms of, like, let's say, bachelor's degree or background?
I would say background. Background is the most crucial for some rules because, but it depends really because there are plenty rules that require just no experience. There's an entry level, and there are lots of rules that require some extra skills, some specific skills, but still it depends you can offer and what are you looking for, because it's like kind of agreement between you and company. You are gonna sell your service, but on the other hand, someone is gonna buy your service. So if you can offer something, obviously you can get something. So it's like having a match.
And I will say it depends on the industry as well, because like in my case, I was working with automotive industry and manufacturing, so there's a lot of requirements for engineers, for example. But you can have, like, I don't know, marketing. It depends again on the market.
Currently, unemployment in Poland is 2.7. So there is no such a things like missing opportunity. There are lots of opportunities. So you have to just pick the industry you would like to work with, and you should be quite clever and think what kind of let's say duties you would like to do. And when you consider that, let's try it, because I am fan of saying try and buy, because it's all about trying. If you are let's say 25 years old, go and try and buy. If you like it, that's fine, go ahead. But if you don't like it, skip and go further up.
Yeah, and I think that's something critical as well. When we mention, it is at some point when we are talking about finding a job or changing industries, you have to be confident. You have just go for it, try it. It really happens, and it's great, this that you share with us, because in markets where the unemployment rate is low, then the
Yeah.
opportunities are there. There's plenty of opportunities. Of course, there's going to be this competition between the talent and what we just mentioned, the expectations of the companies. But then you have to trust yourself. You have to prepare yourself in case you are looking for a specific role. And I think that's one of the key elements when you're looking for a job, either in your country or in different countries.
Yeah,
And
in
then I think,
Poland, in
go ahead, go
Poland,
ahead.
yeah, okay, thank you. In Poland, probably the most difficult time for the recruitment is how to find some specialist experts, especially experts, because lots of organizations want to bring talents on the board, but there are many of them, and the salary expectation are pretty high in Poland because the prices go up. So it's like difficult time for the employer, but on the other hand, there are lots of opportunity for the entry level, for the people with just limited skills, because they may come and work, learn, and develop their career. So I would say it's a perfect time for the development.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Mateusz. And I think also some, as the name of this series is called recruiting, I would just like to know, like, in your particular case, how did you start your career in recruitment? Because now, currently, you are more like in the business development, um,
Mm,
let's say, function, working for Arche, but your background is like in recruiting. You know what you're talking
yeah.
about because you were also talking with candidates, and maybe you are sometimes. But I
Yeah, I
think
do. I do actually. I do.
yeah, so this is like, this is one of the beautiful things about talent acquisition. You can move from, it's literally like procurement, sales, recruiting, and I would just like to know if you want to share with us, how did you start in recruitment?
In one word, accidentally.
Like everyone.
Accidentally. When I completed my master degree, I decided to go to the UK for some period of time because I wanted to get to know what life is like abroad, let's say. And
Hmm.
when I make it back, I tried to find a job, and accidentally I start my career in recruitment, and I carry on till now. So I find it extremely enjoyable because what I like the most, have no idea what's gonna happen. It's extremely unexpectable part of the business, and you have no idea what's gonna happen tomorrow. You have no idea what's gonna happen in let's say 5 years, 5 hours. So yeah.
Yeah, and we have to, I think I always say, in terms of skills, when you have to work in recruitment, or if you want to work in recruitment, definitely problem solving is one of those. And you have to adapt pretty quickly to all these changes. So yeah, accidentally, that's how a lot of people, it's working in recruiting. And I think before we move to the final questions, because we're hitting the time there, like, thank you, Crystal, for staying. Thank you for your time. There's also some questions, and I think this is kind of global. I had a session in Spanish recently talking about ageism, like how some people find, like, hard to find a job after certain age, and even LinkedIn had
It's very, very nice topic. It's a very
yeah,
nice topic.
LinkedIn had an article recently posted talking about ageism. Like, it affects every country, every industry. It has to do a lot with unconscious biases. And here there's another question of Luis Alberto. Thank you so much for your questions, Luis. Is age also important in Poland? For example, in Mexico, after 45, sometimes even 40, there are some companies that give you excuses to hire you. How is it there? Is it hard to find a job if you're more than 40?
No, definitely not. We used to have a problem, but it was 5, 10 years ago. When you reach, let's say, 50, you struggle to find a job. But for the time being, I would say that because of unemployment is very low, so lots of organization has to deal with that kind of situation. So they really appreciate people who are kind of older because they are predictable employee. So predictable means that they are working for the long perspective. They are not like, okay, I joined the organization, learn something, and let's make some movement because I would like to develop my career. I would like to learn as much as possible. But when you reach certain age, you are more focused about, let's say, family, what is going on in your nearest surrounding, but for the job purpose, you are kind of constant because you are trying to do your duties and do not think about moving somewhere else. So I do believe that Polish market take advantage of this situation, and more companies are very welcome to hire some people who are, I am not saying pretty old, but
Senior.
senior, more than 60, because they may really take advantage of this situation.
Yeah, and I think it has. Thank you so much for that answer, Mateusz, because it's definitely a topic right now, not only in Mexico, in Latin America, sometimes in the United States, but I've seen it here. Like, it's easier. I see, like, even people from my family here in the US, they can't find a job after 50. It has to do, I think, with this, as I mentioned, unconscious biases, ideas that people might have about senior talent. But I agree with you, and I'm so glad to hear that you see, my friends, it's possible to hire senior talent because there's a lot of advantages in terms of their skills, their experience, the amount of time they are going to be committed with the company. I think that's definitely very interesting. Thank you, Luis, for that question. And then going back a little to recruiting before we move forward, we're closer to the end. I think you just mentioned it, right? Like working as a recruiter, working in talent acquisition can be also very stressful because we don't know what's next. But
Yeah.
still, I think there's a lot of people like you, your team, like the amazing teams that I've worked with in Europe, in Latin America, here in the United States. There's a lot of people that we really like recruiting, and we know that there's still a lack of talent as well in talent acquisition and in recruiting. There's a lot of people who wants to start a career as a recruiter. So from, let's say, all your years of experience and working with different clients, what do you recommend to someone who wants to start a career as a recruiter? What would be your recommendation
Try and buy.
there? If you
Try
don't
and
like
buy.
it, go to sales.
You have no idea what's gonna like, so you have to try it. If you like it, let's develop your career in recruitment because it's very enjoyable sector of the business. But in Poland, there's a pretty common that someone start his or her career in recruitment and then move on to HR department. So let's say there's entry level recruitment services entry level, and then move on to real world. But from my perspective, real world here is here.
Of course. Yeah, no, the talent acquisition is like very challenging for sure, but it can also be like very rewarding. There's like all these, in my particular case, for example, is like the moment when you find the talent that the company and the hiring manager is looking for, when you're able as a consultant to, something that you mentioned as well before, like when you have this communication and this conversation with your clients, with the hiring managers, and you say like, look, what you're looking for doesn't exist. This is the market. When you have the data, the let's say analysis capability, and you have to be able to communicate, mainly when we're working with international clients, because of course in your case you are in Poland, but because of the type of companies you work with, you talk with people from every single country. Like it doesn't matter where they are working from or where they are from. you
Yeah.
you have to be able to transfer like how the situation is happening there. So I think it's a very, I agree with you, it's a nice career. Try it, and if you're trying, do your best, please. And I do have one question for you, Mateusz, that we
Go
didn't
ahead.
we didn't plan, but
Oh,
I was
oh.
thinking I was thinking about it. Um, there's a lot of people in general over LinkedIn complaining that recruiters tend to start a process with them and then they get ghosted, right? Like they don't receive any type of message saying that they are not continuing in the selection process, or they don't receive like a proper closure after they started their interview process, let's say. Is it common that it happened in the European market as well? Like I always say, it depends. It's even the decision of the recruiter. Like if the recruiter is afraid to say no, it's something very, very tough to deal with. But I don't know, it's like how's the practice that you have seen? Is it like mandatory to close a process with your candidate, or what's your perspective in that sense?
It's difficult topic because everywhere happens, everyone happens, and obviously the process should go pretty smooth. And at the end of the process, you should get back to the candidates and provide the feedback. If you haven't got any feedback, just provide truly trustworthy explanation what the process end up like that, and this is the way it should be. But normally, sometimes it happens not as it should, and people do not get back with the feedback. I have no idea why they did it. For sure, sometimes they are overloaded. Sometimes they just don't want to. They just forgot. Then don't like to get back with the feedback. But I would call it poor service, and I would advise not to do that because, from my perspective, when I used to provide recruitment service, it usually worked like that the candidates was the placement when the let's say on the fourth process. So basically I had to deal with the same candidates for first, second, the third, and the last one process. And at the end of the day, this candidate was a placement. So I had to build up the good relationship with the candidates. From my perspective, providing good quality service is attracting some candidates and try to be in touch with them, trying to make some friendship with them, because you have no idea what kind of occasion you will deal with them. For example, some person can recommend someone to you. On the other hand, you can get very good job offer to this person. So you have to be in contact with them. And then if you are in a good relationship, it's pretty easy to get back with the feedback because you are kind of friendship, let's say. You got some friends. Yes. So it makes it easy. But at the beginning, obviously, it's pretty difficult to deal with the feedback, but you definitely should.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it happens.
Something which really build up a relationship.
Yeah, because I always say, like, your main, let's say, element to work with as a recruiter are candidates. So you have the more transparent, honest, and you have this relationship, as you said, with the candidate, it's the better. There are some companies, and this has to do more with global processes even, where you cannot provide specific feedback. And that's very unfortunate, because recruiters, I think, if anything I've seen with a lot of recruiters, we would love to give feedback. But at least if you cannot provide like a specific feedback on why they didn't meet the requirements of the role, at least you can tell them you are not moving forward in the process. So I think it's nice to see that.
Probably everyone can describe such a weird situation from someone's experience regarding feedback. But me myself remember when I took part in recruitment process, and it was like 3 years ago, and I am making fun, but that I am still in the process. So
yeah, we're still process, and I think I really appreciate it's empathy as well. It's like when we're talking about making our process more human, it's empathy. You have to understand, and you have to be thankful as well for the time of the candidate that is providing you as a recruiter and as a company. And for some reason here in the streaming service is not showing the name, and I hope I pronounced it correctly. I think it's Hein Nordenbos is saying Mateusz is doing as he says. There should be more like him. I totally agree. We need more recruiters that follow the processes, that have this empathy, and that's why Mateusz is here today. Thank you, Hein, for your comment. And then there's another comment that says, I think a lot of people at Eleuterio, we have a lot of people that, myself included, we have experience with recruiters that never, provide you any feedback. It's unfortunate, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. We want to promote. This has to be part of the process. It's actually natural. Like, it's like if you're going to buy something and there's no product there available, you will expect that the seller person will say, we don't have that product, right? So it's even common communication. And there's another question, because friends, we're going closer to the end, and I would like Mateusz also to share with us how Arche works. But this is like a question from Ernie. He says, what sort of technologies are most prevalent in Poland? Microsoft, Linux, cloud, Google, mainframe? I don't know if you have an input there, Mateusz. No, Ernie, we don't know. I think globally there's so many technologies nowadays.
I am familiar with all of them. So basically, if I get to know them, if I have read about it, so basically I'm pretty familiar. So probably they may be available in Poland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the same also with like software and services for talent acquisition. At some point, all the solutions tend to be global, and then we have to learn how to.
Some of them, they are very common. Some of them for the simple recruiter are not very common.
Oh yeah. That's another topic. One day we can talk about software. So far, Mateusz, thank you so much. I would just like you to something, and one of the reasons as well that I invited Mateusz is because I had the opportunity to work with him when I was having, for me and my team, a very, very high volume of work, specifically in Poland. And as I'm sharing here, part of their slogan and what they share is that Arche Consulting is a company that always is trying to use out-of-the-box solutions. And they are really open to understand the needs of the client. It's important to mention, this is not sponsored. As I've been sharing before, LinkedIn doesn't pay anything to me creating content. My guests are here because I know them, because I've worked with them. There's so many people that have been with me in the sessions that I met like more than 12 years ago. So I had the opportunity to work with Mateusz. We had like a very dynamic interaction, and I do believe that what they say is true. They are using out-of-the-box solutions, working with you as a client.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you want to add something. Yeah, I would like to add something, like why, because of course you've been there, and as I told you before, not because you're here, but it's true, I had a very great time working with you and finding solutions for my team at the time. So I would just like you to share with everyone that is here still with us. Thank you for staying more than 45 minutes. What are the type of solutions that Arche provides?
Say again?
The solutions that you guys provide.
Okay. Recruitment service, permanent placement recruitment service, RPO, recruitment process outsourcing itself regarding IT industries. So there are three main areas we usually provide the service.
Perfect. And as I said, it's true, my friends, if for some reason someone from other country wants to start recruiting in Poland, or someone that joins us that has the need, I will definitely recommend you to go to the
I am available on LinkedIn, so I'm happy to get to know you.
And that's true. Mateusz is always very welcoming, open to understand the needs of the client. And I think that's the way it should be. Like what we are talking here is talent acquisition is an area that provides services. We have to work with a lot of people. Now that everything is becoming more global, we have to deal with international clients. We have to adapt to different cultures. But the more human, friendly, respectful, and professional you are, like Mateusz and his team, it's going to be very helpful for everyone. Because as I said at the beginning, and I always share with the Hiring Revolution, talent acquisition is a team effort. So thank you, everyone, so far that has been with us for almost an hour. Thank you, Renata, for staying with us.
Thank you, Renata.
Yeah, Eleuterio as well. Thank you, everyone. So I don't know if you want to add something, Mateusz, just to close our first session here in the Hiring Revolution.
I would like to thank you for inviting me in, because I didn't expect that, as I mentioned before. So thank you. I really enjoy working with you, and I really enjoyed this session. Obviously, I was extremely stressed. So, but somehow you make me calm. I have no idea how you did that, but you did.
See, friends, this is like interviewing should be. It's a conversation. I enjoy this is an example of transferable skills, Mateusz. Like my skills as a recruiter, I just apply them for these live sessions, and I'm very happy that we can have this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to the people that stay with us. As I said, almost an hour. You know where to find me. You know where to find Mateusz. This video is going to stay here on LinkedIn. We also have it available on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm going to share with you as well, Mateusz, if at some point you want to either put it on your LinkedIn profile. It's nice to see that globally there's a lot of people who really wants to work in a very good way in terms of talent acquisition. So thank you very much, Mateusz, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day, everyone. We will be here next week talking about international internships with Pagoda projects. Thank you, Mateusz. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Are you still in?